Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fantasy Fishing Edge with Rich Lindgren. This is our third show. Today we're talking about FLW Tour coming to La Crosse, one of my kind of home fisheries. Fished quite a few BFLs and a few other tournaments on this body of water, so pretty excited to watch how this one unfolds. Definitely going to be mostly a spawn tournament. Everything I'm hearing based on what's happening around where I live and people I know fishing. So there could be a few staging pre-spawn fish, a lot of spawning fish, and then a growing number of post-spawn fish. Smallies probably a little more post-spawn than largemouth, but overall I think they'll be able to find a lot of each on the bed, and then eventually some fish starting to set up on that current for guys that want to do that as the tournament goes on. So it should be an exciting event. They should catch a lot of fish. It should be a lot better than it was for me in the BFL. You can check out my other video recap on that. I'll link to it in this video. One thing to be aware of, here's kind of the water levels. I fished this tournament 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like at 9.5 feet. Now it's come down to about 9 feet, down to, let's see, what are we at right now? 8.5. But by the tournament, it's going to drop down to 7.9, and as the week goes on, as low as 7, so another half foot probably down, 6 inches they're going to lose, although it's raining a lot right now where I am, so maybe they're just draining it and it could come back up. So be interesting to see. Are going to see a little bit of water fluctuation. There is a decent amount of water, so it should help most of these guys to run around and get around pretty well, based on that. It's not super high, so they can't just fly around everywhere, but there's enough water, so it should be pretty navigable for a lot of guys to get in and out of places pretty quickly. So I got a mixture of things going on here. I do definitely want guys that are pretty good at sight fishing and that are versatile. So Casey Scanlon, he's fishing really well this year. Not the greatest Elite Series career. He did fish 3 Elite Series tournaments on the Mississippi River in his career. One not so good one, 2 in the money, and one of those was a 14th, and that one that was 14th was in kind of mid-June, which is not far off from this time of year. So hopefully that pays dividends to him. I'm going to ride his momentum, and he's got probably more experience than a lot of these guys on this river. So I think he's somebody to watch out for, and I think he's going to continue on a roll. Tom Monsoor for $9. It's almost impossible not to put him on your roster. He is the only true, absolute local in this field, and he basically made a career fishing these pools long before we ever started the FLW Tour, so it would be ridiculous not to put him on your team. Peter Cherkas from Des Moines, Iowa, has fished a handful of BFLs and Everstarts and Rayovac Costas on this body of water for $12. I thought he was pretty good value. He should know his way around, should be able to catch some fish, and that way I can spend some more money on some heavy hitters. Andy Young, personal friend of mine, does really well in spring tournaments up on pools 4 and 5, so I think that'll translate well for him to do well in this tournament. And he's a pretty good sight fisherman. That's one of his favorite things to do, so I expect him to do well in this tournament. Plus, Andy has definitely bet on those pools a little bit, so just a little bit of knowledge helps get around. John Cox, couple reasons. He's fishing well this year as usual. Sight fishing he's very good at, and shallow fishing. That's what Mississippi River is all about. And his boat is probably as well suited as anybody's to get around on this river quickly and fast. So that should only further his advantage that his limited boat often gives him. So I think John Cox will have a strong tournament. Jim Jones is from Wisconsin. Quite a bit of experience and a lot of people he knows, obviously in this area. So I expect him to have a solid finish. So for $19, I'm willing to roll the dice on Jim Jones. And then the last 2 guys, Bryan Thrift and Scott Canterbury, both love to fish shallow, both love to sight fish. They're having both tremendous years. I actually like Scott Canterbury a little more than Bryan Thrift, especially after Bryan Thrift's day 1 practice gallery, but I expect both of them to have a really good tournament. So that's kind of why I picked these guys. I think another guy to think about, if you're looking for a guy that's a little better value, is Carl Jacobson, who also fished a couple of elite tournaments, or at least one elite tournament. It sounds like he was having a really good practice in his gallery. So check those guys out. That's what I think. Should be a super exciting tournament. Should be tons of fish caught, and it's really going to be about those guys that can get those 2 3/4 to 3 pound bites versus just the 1 3/4 to 2 1/4 fish that are so prevalent in the river. So that's going to be the difference. I think my overall winning weight is about 63 pounds. That might be a little light. I wouldn't think it would go much more than maybe 70. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for this tournament. Hope this helps you guys pick your roster. Leave me some comments below what you guys picked for your team. Who am I missing out on that I absolutely should have, or who do you think is going to win this tournament? So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, and thanks.